Hey. Yeah, Alicia was just about to sing and she realized it was live. Y'all, I almost had her singing. I was this close. Thank you all so much for joining the You Still Can podcast with Tanisha L. Bowman. I am the definition of You Still Can because I am still canning of all cannings, and thank God that I can. I am here today with no other than the one, the only Dr. Alicia Williams. Thank you so much for joining me. Yes,
it's a pleasure.
I am so excited to have you here today, Alicia. I know that we are going to do it the right way with you here today.
Most definitely.
Absolutely. So if you all are tuning in, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know where you are from. Listen, share this out to the social media world. We want women to be inspired today, okay? And this diva right here, okay, is going to inspire you. We are going to learn how to pivot to profit, right? You're going to hear some amazing nuggets from this amazing woman of God today, and we are excited that you decided to tap in and join us today. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to turn it right over to the Dr. Alicia Wright Williams. Alicia, tell us a little bit about you. Who is Dr. Alicia?
Wow, so much to talk about, so much to say. First of all, Alicia is a woman of God. A mother of 3, a wife of almost 19 years this coming November. God has truly been amazing. I come from such an amazing family who hails out of the port city, Mobile, Alabama. 2 hardworking parents. To this day, they are my true inspiration.
Yes.
I am who I am because of them.
Yes.
And because of my amazing 5 siblings who are all educators.
Yes.
So education is who we are. And I always get asked the question, were your parents educators? Absolutely not. But they saw fit to make sure that we were educated.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
As a former educator turned entrepreneur, it has been a whirlwind journey. Some good, some bad. But let me tell you, nothing that God has put on me. I always get emotional.
Yes.
I just want you to know that, as Tanisha said, you still can. And as we proceed throughout today, you're going to hear some things that I hope that will inspire you and empower you to know that you still can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia. So we're going to grab you some napkins.
Just in case.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it real, guys.
We are going to keep it real. So with that being said, y'all, that is the introduction. What an amazing introduction. So I'm going to tell you all hello really quick. And while I'm doing that, Alicia's going to go ahead and tell us a little bit about her book.
So I have several books. One of my latest projects is my Dear Sis book.
Yes.
Dear Sis is dear to me. And it is rooted in just simply having conversations with women and keeping it real. So the title of the book is called Dear Sis, Let Me Give It to You Straight. Straight talk, because I feel like as women, sometimes women like to sugarcoat it when they're talking to their girlfriends. So don't necessarily give them the honest truth. I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear.
That's right.
I want you to tell me what I need to hear.
Woo.
And so in Dear Sis, it's a book of empowering messages, some that will hit home and make you rethink some things about yourself. So I would like for the readers to use it as a tool to kind of do like a self-check, a self-assessment, and say, wait a minute, I need to think about this. Wait a minute, I might need to check my attitude. Wait a minute, I might need to have that conversation. So it's a book that is definitely going to put you in check.
Wow. Listen, y'all, I just want y'all to know, we hadn't really got started yet, okay? And she is already dropping the nuggets. So dear sis, before this live is over, before this podcast is over, we're going to make sure that you know how to get that book. And you actually have some with you, correct?
Yes, I
do. All right. So we're going to make sure that you know how to get that book. So you're going to get a chance to see it and everything. I have my own, and I have been amazed. This is an absolutely amazing book, and you definitely want it in your life, dear sis. So again, we are here with the You Still Can podcast. Tanisha L. Bowman here with Dr. Alicia Wright Williams. If you have not put this out into the social media world, go ahead and share it. Tag a sis that you know is in entrepreneurship. Tag a sis that you know is thinking about entrepreneurship. Tag a sis who is struggling with entrepreneurship right now. Go ahead and tag that sis because you want them to be in to hear this amazing podcast today. All right, Alicia, so let's go ahead and get this party started.
Yes.
How did your experience, because I know you said you were an educator for how many years?
15 years.
15 years, wow. So how did your experience as an educator help you with the approach to entrepreneurship? What skills and values were you able to use?
So as an educator, naturally, I talk.
Yes.
But the little girl in me was not always a talker. So naturally, being an educator, I have to stand before the students and actually teach, right? Mm-hmm. So that skill of actually being a teacher, which stems from being an educator, I have to educate. So I have to get in front of the students and teach them, impact their lives. So one of the things that I would really say that really transitioned from the classroom to business was being able to lead, impact. When you are an educator, your first role is to, how can you help a child?
Wow.
Whether they're struggling, whether they are succeeding, how can you impact another child's life? Because I always say, being an educator is not for the faint of heart.
So true. So true.
Let me just tell you, you know, someone who has done this for 15 years and still continue to do it to this day. See, that's what many people don't understand. Once you become an educator, you never stop being an educator. You're consistently educating. Even though my classroom looks a little bit different today, I have an opportunity to still impact lives on a global scale. Wow. And so when you're impacting lives with over 100 and some thousand people, you've got to show up.
You got to show up.
The stage. You've always got to be ready for the stage, and your main goal is simply to impact.
Wow. That's amazing. So basically what I hear you saying is you were teaching, young adults, and now you're teaching adults.
Yes. And actually starting from literally, let's take it back to elementary level. So I didn't start in post-secondary education.
Okay.
I started literally in the classroom with the babies. And so to be able to transition from the little ones to actually transition to, because teaching young and going transition to adults is a completely different ballgame. So now I've got to pull myself together to make sure. So when I come into the classroom, so transitioning from teaching second grade, now I'm teaching adults, because I didn't teach the adults too long. I was consistently promoted over months and over years. Wow. So when I say God has truly shown favor on my life, he has truly taken me through the ranks and of the world of education by storm. And so working with young people really pushed my passion to really want to help them to succeed, because what I've learned in my years of working post-secondary education is that so many didn't believe in their own potential. So many did not have the self-confidence. And so that really pushed my passion of empowering others to see the greatness within themselves.
That's amazing. So I think those are really, really good points, Dr. Alicia, because I know that so many women right now are in their current careers and don't realize that there are so many traits and skills and knowledge that they've learned right there where they're at that they can take into the entrepreneurship world when they're ready to finally take that leap. So I think that's absolutely amazing. So what was the turning point? Because one of the things I remember you saying to me just in our conversation was that you actually got laid off.
Not quite.
They
was about to. They were starting layoffs.
Okay.
And so it was going to take about 2 years. So I had time to really make a decision on what I wanted to do.
Wow.
So when the news was brought to me that, hey, we're going to be going through a transition over the next 18 months. And so within those 18 months, I started, naturally, we grow up in an era where you go to school, you get your education, and you're going to work that job for what? 30 years, right? And so we think that we're always safe. Let me just say, people, nothing is safe. Nothing is going to be, no job is 100% secure. I don't care what plan they lay out to you. Nothing is 100% sure. So, hey, I'm doing my thing for years, and next thing I know, my job could potentially be taken away at any given moment. However, I'm thankful that I was given enough time to say, hey, let me figure out my next step. But let me tell you, there was nothing to figure out. There was nothing to figure out. And I know we're going to probably take a deep dive into this. When you trust God, let me just say this. When you trust God and he's the head of everything that you do, it was nothing to fear but fear itself. And so I knew that, okay, wait a minute now, I've been doing this for quite some time. However, I knew that God had me. So when I say it was truly a leap of faith, it was truly a leap of faith to say, you know what? I'm going to step out and I'm not going to ever look back. And I have got to tell you, over the last 9.5 years, I have not once had to look back.
Wow, a decade.
Almost.
Wow.
And it brings me to tears just to say, who would have thought that 9.5 years later, almost 9.5 years later, that I would be in the position that I am now. But let me tell you that when you serve the kind of God that I serve,
listen,
it's not far from the truth. It's not far to say that this is possible. As you have always said, I am possible.
Yes.
That was possible for me. I just didn't know it was possible for me. And so it was just truly trusting God. It was a journey. It was truly a faith walk. When I say that, when I tell people all the time, I have never had to look back. Not once did I ever had to question, will I ever have to go back in this classroom? Will I ever have to go back to education? Not one time. Because God showed me that if you just have a mustard seed of faith, Tanisha,
yes,
He will do exceedingly and abundantly.
Yes.
Above more than what you can ask for.
Wow.
Yes.
Listen, so let me tell you how good God is, right? Because like she said, faith walk. So you have to know your guests. You have to know what you're dealing with before you bring your guests on. So I knew to have my box turned up to we walk by faith, and not by sight, because I knew that Dr. Alicia Williams, the evangelist herself, was coming to speak with you all today. And I know that you have some amazing faith. I've seen you do some things. I've watched you up close. I've watched you from afar. And I know that the one thing you do, if nothing else, is trust God.
Yes.
So always remember, y'all, to walk by faith and not by sight.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes, faith walk, I see in the comments. You better preach, they said. Listen, y'all. And let me tell y'all something in the comments. When I posted today, she said, we're going to have a great conversation. I said to myself, woo, child. Because I already know what was coming to the table, and I appreciate it as well. All right. So, okay, that was your turning point. You just decided to have faith, to trust God, and say, you know what? I'm going to tap into my own gifts and talents at this point in my life. I'm not waiting 2 years to see what happens. Because you know what, Alicia, in 2 years, really, from what I understand with the layoffs, you could have got, I don't want to use the wrong word, but you could have stayed.
I could have stayed.
You could not have been the one that got laid off. But you said, I'm going to do what God told me to do.
I'm going to do what God told me to do right now. And during those 18 months, I was offered other positions at other campuses there were times where I was offered to become an associate dean, even a dean position. But God told me I have something bigger that you just can't see right now. And what many don't know, God has blessed me and honored me with the title of Dr. Alicia A. Williams. But what many don't know, Alicia was already working on her post-secondary doctoral degree years ago, literally almost 10 years ago. It has been 10 years. And God said, He stopped me. As close as I was to being finished with my classes and moving on to the dissertation part, God said, you're not going to have to work for this. Not the way that you think you're going to have to work for it. I'm going to honor you by your works, through your works. And as of August the 25th, I was honored through my works, because of my work. All of the hard work that I have done and served over the years, I now have bestowed the title Dr. Alicia A. Williams. This is all God, because I've always stated that what's for you is for you.
Listen.
I did not know what my journey was going to look like, but I knew that he had an assignment on my life that was so much bigger than what I could see.
Yeah.
Sometimes I did not know what that looked like, but what I did know was there was a burning passion, and has always been a burning passion inside of me to impact the masses. But it had to be through the word.
Yeah.
There are so many people who are hurting today.
Yeah.
And what this world needs is people to believe in them. It's nothing like someone saying, Tanisha, I see you, I believe in you, let me help you. We don't get to do that enough, sister. We don't get to do that enough, brother. We don't congratulate each other enough. We don't help. There's a difference in saying, I want to help you, but there's a difference in me taking my sister's hand and say, come on, I'm going to take this journey with you. It's because I see greatness in you.
That's good.
I see greatness in you. And I saw that my platform, God placed the opportunity in my lap that turned out to be so much more, because the assignment was so much greater than that. And here we are today. Ooh.
All God.
All
That's
God.
all God. That's all God. And that makes me think about Dr. Alicia, the prosperity part of it, because we get so busy chasing this bag and chasing the money versus allowing God to use us, use our voice, use our gifts, and that's going to bring us the prosperity.
Exactly.
Because this is what the plan that God had for our life. So I think that's just absolutely amazing. Listen, y'all, I don't look at the comments this much. Y'all make me stop letting me look at these comments now. Dr. Alicia, like somebody said, I hear it in her voice. It's changing. And that is true. That is so, so true. All right, y'all, let's move on. This is going to be good, I think.
Can I go back and add
yes.
to that?
Yes.
One of the pivotal parts in transitioning from education to becoming a full-time entrepreneur was the motivation was never the money. The motivation was my time freedom. When you're a mother of 3 and your children are actively involved, I was tired of being that mother who had to, just like you're in church and you got to raise the 2 fingers. I was tired of being that mother who was always late. When I say always late, and it's nothing like your child looking out from the field or looking out from their dance performance or looking out from their game and noticing you're just now getting there. So you may have missed some of their moments.
Yes.
But when you're a parent, you have to do what you had. At the time, I had to do what I had to do because I had such a long commute.
Yes.
It literally took me an hour and 20 minutes every single day, going and coming from one end of the city to the other end of the city. But when I sat down and I prayed, when I was told that your position may be phasing out, the first thing I initially said was, well, God makes no mistakes.
That's right.
And so it was not about me having the success and the income coming in. It was about, God, now you're going to give me the time freedom that I need to be there the way that I desire to be for my children. Instead of my husband, he's there. I'm there, but I'm getting there late. And you can't, it's so many times that you can only explain to your children why you missed this performance or why you're late. That's right. They didn't understand that at that age. Right. But today that they do, thank God.
Yes.
And so it was never about the money. It was the time freedom for me.
Yes. I love that. And God said, I'm going to give you the money. I'm going to give you the prosperity.
Exactly.
Okay? I love that. All right, Dr. Alicia, I'm really interested to hear this answer from you, because I think this is going to help a lot of women, because we all deal with challenges. What challenges did you face during this transition? Because you went from a structured career in education to deciding to be a full-time entrepreneur. So what challenges did you face?
Oh, wow. I felt, I always say you got those dream busters and those negative Nancy's, those bitter Bettys that always got something to say about how can you leave your career, something that they thought was secure. Nothing, I just said nothing was secure.
That's right.
And so the challenge was people thought I was crazy to walk away from my career to do something like this.
Right.
Full time. Did you hear what I said? Something like this.
Right.
Yes, I do sling bling. Yes, it is because of that opportunity that God placed me. Let me say it again, because some people are gonna get it confused.
Right.
It was the opportunity that God placed in my lap. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a jewelry. It's a jewelry company.
Yeah.
But because of that opportunity, God has allowed me to be blessed in multiple ways.
Yes.
And not have to entertain the dream busters or the negative Nancy's or this. How long do you think this is going to last?
Right.
These are some of the comments and the ridicule that I receive from individuals. in my profession and outside of my profession. But let me tell you something. Once I had that conversation with my parents, because like I say, I'm old school. And the first thing that I told them, and I said, hey, I'm going to, walk away. The company is going to actually be phasing out or this particular location because there were 28 locations and Atlanta's campus was going to be one of them over the next 18 months. But God said, you don't have to wait 18 months. I have blessed you so to where if you wanted to walk away today, you could. And he did just that. He did just that. And so when I heard people say, you chose to walk away from your career to sell jewelry, look at me now. Look at me now.
Just like that.
Never downplay anything, whether it's a side hustle, hobby. You never know what could potentially change your life. And for me, it was that opportunity that God placed in my lap, in my life to say, this is going to be what's going to change the trajectory of your life and your family's future.
Here we go. Told y'all I knew what to do. God will open doors. God will open doors. See, one of the things I learned, Dr. Alicia, and you just said it, with stepping out on faith and really walking into your gifts and your talents, when you attach that to entrepreneurship, you still have your mind on the source. The business isn't the source. No. Your career wasn't the source. The money isn't the source. The bling's not the source. You still have your eye. You're still connected to the source. And when you connect it to the source, he's going to tell you where to plug.
That's right.
He's going to tell you where to plug. So you plug where the source told you to plug. So, honey, I think if you would have been selling bugs, you was going to be prosperous. Because that's what God told you to do.
That's right.
That's what God told you to do. So I love that. And listen, ladies, you hit a lot of nuggets there, Dr. Alicia, because the dream busters, you're going to have them. I guarantee you the dream busters are trying to figure out how to bust up their dream.
Exactly.
They cannot figure it out. The confidence in them, the insecurities in them can only downplay what you're doing. So whatever you choose to do, they're going to have something to say. But if you know that this is what God told you to do, why? Because she said it. Look at me now. Look at her now. Bold, beautiful, blessed doctor. Okay. Alicia, and walked away 10 years ago and is still thriving, is still doing great things, still empowering women, still inspiring women. Okay, this is what can happen if you truly trust God for what it is that you want and let the naysayers be the naysayers.
Exactly.
That is amazing. I love that. All right. What has been the most rewarding part of your entrepreneur journey?
The most rewarding part for me is seeing the joy that I've been able to bring to so many people's lives by simply showing them how much I care. A lot of times people do things for the wrong reasons. Yeah. And even though I have such a successful business that has been thriving over the last 10 and a half years, like I said, it was never about the money. It's never been about the income that I have. It's been about how many lives can I impact. And if I can only impact one life a day, God, I've done my job for the day.
Yes.
So the most rewarding part is when I get those sweet messages, when I see people face to face, and it takes my breath away when they come and they share because of you not giving up, because of you doing the things that you've done. You have inspired me to not give up. That's right. As I often say, even in business and outside of business, I'm just like you. I'm just a girl who decided to go for it and trust God along the way. Yes. One of the things that I've learned, and I may be jumping ahead, is that I learned to bet on me. Bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. There are so many people out here that don't bet on themselves. They're waiting for somebody else to make it happen for them. As you often hear me say, Tanisha, nobody owes you anything, but you owe yourself everything. Right. You got to get out there and make it happen for you. Success starts with you. It starts with you.
Yes. I thought you were about to say my favorite saying. I'm not going to say it because I know you're going to say it before we get off. And you all are going to get a chance to hear it as well. Bet on yourself. So listen, really quick, I'm going to give one or two If you have a question, 1 or 2 questions about entrepreneurship, now is your time to ask, okay? This is freelancing. We would love to be able to answer your questions tonight. I know y'all have received some dynamic nuggets. I know that you are inspired from this amazing woman of God. And you heard her say she's a mother. She's a wife, okay? She has responsibilities, right? But with everything she does, it's obvious that she has trusted God, and that's why it is flowing. I'm sure you have some things that happen in your life. I'm sure you have some setbacks, some things, but you keep going.
Right. You're gonna have, your knee is gonna get busted. Let me tell you something. But put some peroxide on it, a bandage on it, pick yourself up and keep going. Life is going to knock you down, Tanisha.
It's going to.
You're gonna have all kind of sticks and stones. You just got to duck and dodge, baby. Sometimes I try to figure out if I'm doing double dutch. Sometimes I feel like I'm back at my track days. I've got to lace up. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I tell people all the time, you got 2.5 seconds to waddle in whatever's happening with you. I don't do pity parties.
Right.
It doesn't help me, and it's not going to help you. So therefore, you got to pick yourself up and keep going, because nobody is going to give you anything.
Right.
You gotta be out. You gotta.
Can you stop saying nobody like that? Because you're messing me up when you do that.
Oh.
You know what I think you y'all don't worry, it's coming.
It's coming. But I want everyone to understand is that you've got to get out there and make it happen for you. Stop wishing for it.
That's right.
Stop wishing for it and get out there and make it happen.
Yes. Duck and dodge. They say I love it. Come on, you better say it. Listen, this takes me to my grace is sufficient for you.
Ooh.
He's covering us, y'all. Through all the trials and the tribulations and the things that we're going through and people rejecting us and things of the sort, God is still protecting us and putting us in the right places, exactly where we need to be. I have always, and she knows this, I've always looked up to Dr. Alicia. She has definitely been in my inbox, so I know what she's saying is true. She's encouraged me on more than one occasion, whether it was through my inbox before we even really knew each other, whether it was by text or anything. And Dr. Alicia, that is one of the things that I love, because as women, we should complete and not compete.
Yes.
And if I'm here, I had to start here to get there. So I know what it feels like to be here. And why can't I come back and say, hey, like you said, grab your hand and take you along with me. So I know that she's not just saying that. I know firsthand that that is something that she do, okay? So I don't see any questions. I just love her. I do too.
Thank you.
I just love her too. Absolutely. All right. So I do have something I want to ask you.
Yes.
And this is going to be for fun.
Oh.
And you have 0.1 second before you answer.
Okay.
No thinking, okay?
Okay.
Y'all ready to have some fun with us? Here we go. Water or wine?
Okay. Wine.
All right, we'll start over.
Okay.
Water or wine?
Wine.
Lake or beach?
Lake.
All right. Heels or flats?
Heels.
Hair, short or long?
Short.
Diva or boss?
Both.
Ow! So listen, thank you all so much for tuning in to the You Still Can podcast. Okay, I see, and she will see all of your amazing comments. Yes, she is very, very, very genuine. Awesome leader and genuine. Yes, she is. Thank you, Joshua. You will be able to catch the replay of this as well. And I am going to leave you with some inspiring words from the one and only Alicia Wright Williams, Dr. Alicia Wright Williams. So before I leave you, I do want you to know, Alicia, when you do speak, also let them know how to contact you, your platforms, all of that great stuff, okay? But she's going to give you some encouraging words before we leave today. So listen, I want you to have a great, wonderful, awesome, blessed night. Why? Because you deserve to, okay? All right.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. It has been an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure to come before you and just share a little bit about who I am, what it is that I do. Let me just tell you, my heart is full. My heart is full. And if you know me, one of my mantras is no one else is you, and that is your superpower. I don't care how many people do what you do, but I want my sisters and my brothers to understand nobody, and I mean nobody, does it like you. There's so much that there's a gift of greatness that lies within each and every one of you, but you've got to get out there and you've got to tap into that. There are so many resources out there. No longer will you be held captive by what the naysayers or the dream busters or the bitter Betties have to say, okay? Because they're going to be out there. But one of the things that I have learned over my 12 plus years as an entrepreneur, because this is no microwave success. This is what you have to understand, is that there are going to be days where you're going to simply want to walk away. There are going to be times where you're going to skip, hop, and jump because everything is peaches and cream. But let me tell you something. If you truly want to become an entrepreneur and have success with that, you've got to start by simply believing in you. Let me say that again. So many people look for validation. Let me tell you, don't allow social media to rush you. Because that's what they do. They're going to make it seem like you have to do this and you have to do that in order for you to have the success. But let me just tell you something. Start with God. Ask him and allow him to direct your path on this journey. And if you're not sure which direction, for those of you who are looking to transition from your full-time job to becoming a full-time entrepreneur, the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is just simply have a conversation with God. Because I see so many people who prematurely jump into this thing is because they simply like the title of becoming a boss. Let me tell you something. Stop worrying about those hashtag goals, hashtag girl boss. No, it is not as easy as social media portrays it. There are days where let me tell you something, when you're your own boss, you're going to work harder than you've ever worked before. But what I will tell you this, if you truly believe in what God has for you, it can work for you. It will work for you, but you've got to simply believe. So when I say no one else is you and that is your superpower, don't worry about what's happening to the left of you and don't worry about what's happening to the right of you, but simply walk boldly and unapologetically in your faith. It is going to be a faith walk. So get out there and let's walk it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. To get a hold of me and to follow me, I am on all platforms, but there are just a few that I will name to you where you can catch me daily. On Facebook as Dr. Alicia Wright Williams, also to Alicia A. Williams, and on IG as I am_Alicia A. Williams. Now, we talked about Dear Sis, let me give it to you straight. So I often get asked the question, when are you going to do a Dear Bruh? Let me just tell you, in Dear Sis, although my focus is heavily on women, let me tell you something, gentlemen, there's something for you in there too as well, because I believe a lot of those messages will apply to you too as well. But if you're looking to do a self-assessment and just looking for some empowerment where you're going to get it straight, Dear Sis is going to be that, and you need that in your arsenal. How can you get that? Simply go to my website, AliciaEmpowersHer.com, and you can hear about all that I do. You can book me for anything, speaking engagements, podcasts, seminars, simply to come out to your schools, your churches. I am available because what I want to do is simply empower you and let you know that there's greatness inside of you. Thank you guys for joining me.